big news because the Congress, but the House now has voted, the Senate has voted, it will go to President Biden, has voted to indefinitely suspend the U.S. purchase of Russian energy, that oil and gas.
This is very unusual for Washington, D.C. right now. You had a vote in the Senate that was 100-0. And the vote in the House of Representatives on the bill suspending Russia's preferential trade status was 420-3. And the bill banning Russia energy imports passed 413-9. This is unprecedented in current political environment in Washington, D.C.
Congressman Brady, appreciate you joining us on Sekulow. With this congressional move, we don't see it often these days where you've got this kind of bipartisan move. 413-9 was the vote in the House, 100-0 in the Senate. And it was for Congress to suspend all normal trade relations with Russia and ban importation of its oil and gas indefinitely. So, Congressman, I want to ask you this first. You got this bipartisan support. Is there any question about whether President Biden will actually sign this into law?
I think he will sign into the law, but I think you make an important part here. Look, so the good news is with these two bills, we've targeted 100% of what Russia sells into the U.S. Oil and energy is about 60%. The special trade relationship that we revoked was the rest of it. So I think this is going to do some damage. Certainly, we're not going to be contributing to funding that war. I think that's important. But you need to know Republicans and Democrats in the House and Senate came together more than 6 weeks together on this. President Biden fought this tooth and nail, both banning Russian energy purchases as well as lifting that special trade status. Only when he saw that we had more than 400 votes did he reverse course and sign an executive order on oil and now supporting the trade status revocation. So, yes, he's going to sign it. But my frustration, I think, in much of us with the war is, how reluctant he's been to engage in a meaningful way to support Ukraine.
I think that the American people at this point, we want to do everything possible to end the conflict. It's whatever we can do to influence to an end to this conflict sooner rather than later. But it is a question because we see, I want to go to one of our brief as well. We saw the Biden administration a year ago tell the American people, we're going to provide you this COVID relief, but by the way, you can't cut taxes. You can't cut anything that would cut revenue. And now a year later, we're looking at these gas prices. So we're talking about oil and gas already. You're a lead on our brief, and we're now at the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. We won this at the district court, but the Biden administration's still fighting. And we were talking about it just in the first segment of our broadcast, the idea that there's states, like your state, I know, and Texas is looking at doing this, where we are, is looking at providing relief through taking some of those taxes off gas so that, again, there's some relief from the inflation we've seen. And yet this would prevent that. And the Biden administration's still in court fighting this issue.
Yeah, it is. One, thanks for your leadership on this and so many issues really important to Texans and conservatives. So thank you, first and foremost. But secondly, look, this is the administration that has had a wrong from the get-go. And I think that nearly $2 trillion March COVID stimulus, as they sold it, but had very little to do with COVID. And the only thing it stimulated was raging inflation for the past year and the worst in 40 years, is that, frankly, they don't know how to lead this country. They have no policies that actually strengthen us, that strengthen families or the economy in any meaningful way. And I think every step they've made, and thankfully you've been helping challenge this or leading the challenge on this, we've had to step forward to try to course correct everything for them.
So when we talk about all of these issues which are in the news, for us and for you who support the ACLJ, that is not just talking to talk. And our broadcast has never been about talking to talk. We've tried to continually make the broadcast more and more about something that even if you just tuned in for 5 minutes, from that 5 minutes, you can take something away that's different than talking heads on cable news or 3-minute discussions.
One of the things we sat down at the beginning of the year, we always evaluate at night, and we said to our team, and we had a big meeting with our production team and our folks that are on our broadcast, and said, when you speak, have something that you say that when it's over with, our listener says, I didn't realize that. or that I've never thought about it that way. And that's what we're trying to do each and every day in this broadcast. So we bring you our expert analysis. We bring you our expert team. What you see is a really nice studio and cameras and the lighting. What you don't see behind the screen is 6 or 8 people managing this broadcast for an hour to get it on the air. And then another group of people that are helping put content together. So this is where you come in. And I'm going to emphasize what Jordan said. This is only if you're able to do this. If you're not in the financial position to do it, please don't. Pray for the ACLJ. Pray for our team. Encourage others.
You could sign petitions, share
it, engage on our social media. I know everybody can't afford it with the price of gas and food and fuel and everything else. But if you can, we really would appreciate your support for the ACLJ.